Yo, what's up?
What is up, my brother Vega? It is Wednesday,
Yeah,
December the 16th.
yeah,
Yeah,
the 16th.
2020. We're still in that hateful
Yeah,
year
buddy.
of 2020 here on 12 Volt Talk. We are back once again. Another show this week. We have a special guest with us. We're going to bring him in here in just a minute. How's it been going, Rob? How you been?
Man, I'm a little tired. This is day 4 of the day live streaming, and but I am pumped because our dude Shawn K is gonna be on tonight. We've been trying to get him on since episode 1. If you guys don't know who Shawn K is, you will tonight.
Yeah, y'all gonna appreciate some skills here we're gonna show off. So we'll go ahead and bring Shawn in. He's taking a sip
Oh,
from the old school
yeah.
cup. Those are rare. That's like one of 10, I think, right, Shawn?
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Hi guys.
Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. No
Shawn
time.
is Shawn is the man like behind the curtain. Like you got some massive skills, but you're not the kind of guy that like stands out. So you're not the kind that I know we've been talking about doing this show for a while, and you kind of like, well, yeah, maybe sometime, but we'll do it. So we wanted to get on here and show everybody some of your skills. So how's everything going? I know you just finished a big build. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But how's everything else going for you?
It's going well. Thank you. It's going well.
And so you're kind of like, and I'll just briefly tell a history story of how Shawn and I met. And I don't know how many years ago this was, and maybe Shawn remembers, but it was probably 10, 8,
At least. I was gonna say 09 maybe.
09. So 09, I get an email from this dude, and he's like, hey, I've got a Rockford Punch 12-inch speaker I want to send you. So I'm going, that's kind of weird. People, back, it happens more now than it did back then, but back then it was very rare, for somebody to want to send me something. So, of course, you always have to be kind of on your P's and Q's, what's this person's, prerogative, what are they trying to do, trying to find out where I live, trying to get some of my old Punch 45s or something. Can't have that. So anyway, I went back and forth with him a little bit, and I'm like, this guy sounds legit. He told me he was an installer and he was a big Rockford fan. So sure enough, he sent me a Punch Classic. Was it a PCH 124, I think is the model number?
Something like that.
Yeah, in the box. It's the one that's got the inverted dust cap, and that says Rockford Fosgate The Punch on it. And so he sent it to me. So I was like, well, that's pretty cool. So then we kind of started going back and forth. And at that time, it was really before the whole Facebook thing. We were on the forums. I know Shawn, he was, what was it, DIY Mobile Audio at that time? Was that the one big one?
That was a big one. Yeah.
And caraudio.com. And so Shawn, I bought a few things, I think, from you back then too, because you were selling some items. And then you and I both were kind of big Rockford Fosgate fans. So we had a lot of discussions about that type of equipment. But anyway, that's how it started. So it was over 10 years ago. Shawn sent me a Punch sub. I still have that subwoofer, just so you know. Yeah,
Good.
Still have it.
First supporter right here.
Yeah,
This guy.
that's right. It goes way back. So so something about this dude right here, Legends of Car Audio.
I know that guy.
There's a little something that was going on here the past few months with this guy. Thank you, Brad. We appreciate you hooking us up. And so obviously we got a lot of stuff that we want to talk about, but since this is kind of what I would say is a little bit more of the hot topic right now, is the Civic Type R build that you just did. So I'm going to switch over real quick and share my screen so we can see kind of a picture of the car a little bit, and then we'll go through a few of the pics. Maybe you can just tell us a little bit about, how long it took, how involved it was, and just some overviews of what you did.
Sure.
So I'll bring it up here so we can see. It's a 2020, right? 2020 Civic Type R.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm personally a Honda. I've always been a Honda guy. You know that. So this was special to me. for sure.
Yeah,
I kind of miss it not being out there in the garage right now.
And we don't have to tell Brad how many donuts and stuff you did, before you even start the build. So we'll hold that off.
Nobody's gonna believe this, but I never drove it. I didn't even drive it.
Oh man, that should have been the first thing you did.
I know.
That's part of your contract.
I know.
Before I start working, I got to take it for a few loops. But yeah, I mean, obviously right off the bat, it's a gorgeous car. I mean, they really did good, I think, with these. And so we'll just jump straight in here to a money shot of the back. So you open up the hatch and tell us a little bit about, or tell us all you want to about the build. I mean, it looks like some.
Yeah, I don't know where to start. I mean, head to toe, it's all critical mass audio, with the exception of the DSP. So Brad picked up all of this equipment and asked me to do the install with all of the critical mass. And we both were a little bit hesitant at first. Just we weren't sure how the equipment was gonna perform. I had never experienced, had any experience with the gear. But once I got it fired up and with just a really rough tune, crossovers and some gain settings and whatnot, not even any equalization right now. I was really impressed. So that was nice. I mean, here I had spent 4 months at that point before the system was actually fired up, like just doing the install and the fabrication and all that. So before the system was even fired up, we were a little bit nervous. Got the system going on that particular day, and was really happy with what it was doing before any major tuning. So that was nice. At least the gear was performing. So all of the I don't know where to start, really. I mean, I basically just tried to pull in all of the elements of the vehicle itself. The black vinyl really matches the factory very well. Obviously, the red paint, it's true, two-stage automotive paint. The black plexi is, when you look at like the front and the rear grille, there's a lot of like gloss black there. So yeah, I decided to use the black plexi for to match that. And what else? Oh, the carbon fiber vinyl that matches, the diffuser on the bottom of the vehicle.
Yeah, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but seeing the pictures here is one thing. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to see it in person, and that was my bad for not being able to go down, because Shawn's about 6 hours or so away from me, but I didn't get a chance to go see it. But Shawn fortunately took some video of the system and kind of did a walkthrough prior to Brad picking it up, which was just this past weekend, right? When he picked it up?
Yes.
This past weekend?
Yes.
But what I would say is, as impressive as this looks here, I can't point the right way, but that way. In the pictures, just a couple of the videos I saw that grill cover when Shawn pulls it off, he's got neo magnets inside of the grill cover, and the back of that piece here that's right in front of the subwoofer is like finished in some velour material. So I mean, it looks like if you pull it off, some people would just not worry about what the back looks like because it's the back and nobody's going to see it. But that just shows the craftsmanship. And you guys are going to see that when I do the video, because I'm going to put all that stuff together when we do the thorough walkthrough with the pictures and the video. But that's this kind of thing that even with us going through these pictures and you've seen it, that you can't grasp until you can actually see that. But that's amazing. But so just a little bit about the components, I guess, for people that don't know critical mass and everything. I see that it's a 12-inch sub.
But before we get into that, if you've ever been on eBay, I'm estimating the total cost of the equipment somewhere at $1.5 million. somewhere in
something
that
like that.
We should have saved some of the listings. You're right. I mean, the amps list on eBay for like 15,000 or something a piece, something like that.
Yeah, you can pretty much just ignore that.
So you got and the sub says 5,000 watts, I know, on it. So it's a pretty beefy 12, right?
Yeah, very, very nice 12.
Very nice 12. And then you've got 3 amps at the bottom. What are all the amplifiers that are there? What are the ratings and things like that?
So, geez, I'm not sure if I remember the model numbers. I think it's something like AUE 1500.4. I think that's it. So the amp on the far left and the amp on the far right are both 4-channel amplifiers. I think they're 250 by 4. They're pretty powerful. And then the center is a monoblock. I think they claim it's a 2,500 watt, but honestly, we're not using anywhere near that kind of power for the system.
This obviously wasn't a banger setup. I mean, obviously
right.
It's a looker.
Yeah.
And he wanted some sound quality, I take it, out of the setup.
Yeah. But it actually, it's very dynamic. It's very loud. Just the whole system, not obviously not just the subwoofer, but it's very efficient. So that enclosure, I spent a ton of time on that enclosure. I modeled it before going forward with the build. Decided to go with a vented enclosure instead of the factory recommended sealed enclosure. I think they recommend like a 1 cubic foot sealed. Just, it's crazy. I mean, in my opinion, to get any good low frequency out of it, it would have taken gobs of power to get there. It would have saved me a ton of time if I went with a sealed enclosure. But man, I think I have close to 3 weeks in just building the sub enclosure. So it's a fiberglass wheel well. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if I remember correctly, that Critical Mouse sub was one of the first Neo Mags I remember seeing a fully Neo magnet.
Yeah, probably that, and maybe the Aura, maybe.
Yeah,
that's pretty old school too. But
yeah. So and to back that up a little bit, I mean, obviously people can tell that you've got fabrication skills by seeing this, but you've you were installer for many years up in Maine, right? So I mean, you did this as a profession for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure of the level. Obviously, here we're looking at something that most people that go to a shop are not gonna request something.
Right.
I can't point the right way. Like this, because I mean, this is something like you see on, the TV shows, the unique whips and the things like that, where they go all out with the build. So something like this, and just to kind of put an idea into people's mind, the time that is invested in this. I know it may be hard to narrow down the hours, but I mean, you're talking several months for this full system, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
think 5 months, 4 months.
Well, it was. I mean, it's hard to say like when the exact day the system was done, but 4.5 months. I think it was right about there. Yeah.
This is SEMA level build stuff here.
It really is. I mean, if you can't tell by just
I'd like to say that all of the prettiness is all fine and good, but the fundamentals is first and foremost every time I do an install. So that's to me the most important factor, and then you can make it pretty afterwards all you want.
Sure.
So that's something that's very important to me.
And I can guarantee, based on the work I've seen Shawn do before, that if you popped any of these panels up on the bottom or whatever and saw the amps, you're not going to see wires just dangling. He's going to have them channeled. They're going to be like right up against each other, color matched, and
it's not going to be like
wiring.
my build, where
it'll be just like Rob's build.
Homer Simpson, where everything's squeezed back and he looks big and buff, and in the back it's just rubber bands holding all the fat.
Yes, I
something
mean
like
even up here at the top, see the critical mass, Legends of Car Audio, Type R. So I mean we got it all done. This is a DSP over here on the right,
Yes, bad boy
and
DSP.
in the fuse over here, and some of the distribution on the left. And check that out. Oh yeah, Scott, thank you, appreciate that, brother. Check out the LEDs going on.
right.
Got the red LEDs. I know it's hard to capture pictures of LEDs just because of the way cameras work and stuff, but I know that looks really really slick in person. It looks really cool here too. But that is definitely the money shot. Now before this build, and I think people probably have seen it because everybody steals your pictures online that likes Rockford, but your Rockford Integra build that's got the DSM amps in the back and the audiophile subs.
Yeah.
That's probably my second favorite other than this
Yeah.
one. But
That car is it's so funny because that was a build for my wife. She's I'm sure she's probably had more completed systems than I've had myself. But that it's funny because that particular install in the Integra has received so much attention, and it literally is, and like in my opinion and the time that I spent, it wasn't anything all that special. I probably spent 5 days on it maybe. It's very simple, very simple, but for some reason maybe it was the gear, I don't know. Period correct gear. Car was kind of period correct itself, but people love it. It's crazy. So I
it
wish I
is
could do
sweet.
5-day installs like that all the time and get that kind of
Oh
interest.
yeah. Well, I forgot that the dumb links on the DIY go to your photo bucket, which is
Oh, yeah,
it's got all
awful.
this crap on it. But anyway, I'll still
Awful.
show people so they can see it, just so we can grasp what a 3 or 4 or 5 day, whatever you said, build was. But yeah, that's just clean. I mean, there's no way around it. And obviously, Shawn is always good for putting plenty of photos showing the whole process. So he's got all that going on. But the final, I mean, that's one that you see everywhere, and people like that one too. It's a really cool shot. And yeah, so before the Type R, this was, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think Rockford fans especially love it just because of all, the way it does highlight those DSM amps. But I mean, you've got the acrylic, the punch panel down here too,
Mm-hmm,
which is
mm-hmm. Yeah.
are those tens, right? Three
10,
tens?
yeah. Audio
Yeah.
files, correct.
Three
Yeah.
audiophile tens. So anyway, yeah, I
And
just
it's
had to switch to
symmetrical.
that.
3 amps, 3 subs.
Yeah, it is. It's
It-
very symmetrical, and
and that
this
catches
is
your
one of
eye.
the other things Shawn and I were talking about the other day. It's like, Shawn, did you draw this stuff out on a CAD program, or how do you
No,
do
sir.
your installs?
Nope. I just wing it.
See, that makes it even more incredible to me, is just winging it. I mean, geez.
I can't, like, I'll give all the credit in the world to these guys that can do those CAD drawings and then just build it, and or even draw it and build it. I just can't. I can't do that. I don't know. It's just not me. I have to basically look inside the vehicle and then just kind of visualize what I want to do. And I don't know. I guess just figure it out as I go. Basically, I really do. And even Brad's car was like that. So,
Man,
That I think that makes it even more amazing. The fact that it's just like, wow. I mean, this just looks like something. There's no way that you just could have kind of thrown that. I don't know. That's hard to explain, but it came out well. So there's.
no thanks.
And we got some videos here. I don't think I can go any further. That was it. So anyway, yeah, I don't want to show Brad's license plate or anything, but that's just cool, man. There's no way or no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's one of the coolest installs. Obviously, that's over the top. You did a fantastic job. I know that
Thank you.
obviously are probably worn out from doing it, because it is such a such a level of time and effort to to do that and do it right. So hats off to you, man. It
Thank you.
looks great. I'm sure Brad's going to show it off whenever this COVID stuff slows down so that people can gather again.
And bring that up to the spring meet.
Yeah, you have to. I hope you left like some cards in there or something, or
Yeah.
left some
Or secret
left your
ShawnK.
signature. Did you do your JP?
Like in the
Yeah,
artwork.
No.
I guess I could get into my story of how I met Shawn. It was in, what was it, finals 2014?
Yeah. Yes.
Was
Yeah.
the first time, and you had the Honda build with the ScanSpeak drivers, the JBL, and then you had
Still
all
have that car.
You still have the car, but not the
I
system.
still
right?
that's still my daily driver.
Yeah, and you had
the system has
the
been
Phoenix
torn down.
Gold,
Yeah.
the ZPA.
Yes.
That
Yes.
car sounded better than any car I heard at finals that year, and I'm not exaggerating.
Not any.
Any car I heard. And matter of fact, my wife heard that car because she went to the first meet, and I'm still trying to live up to that expectation because she and I'm not even joking. She has told me, like, can't you make it sound like this? Like, I wish I could. I can't make it sound like that.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
That's very funny. That was the Accord was I'm trying to remember. That was a post I did on DIY Mobile. I can't remember when I started it, to be honest with you, but I've had that car for over 10 years now. And when I first started the build, it was basically just, I really didn't care about cosmetics. It was like, okay, I want to build the best sounding car that I can build, that I can personally build. And that was my goal. I mean, I used carpet in the trunk. And I never even completely finished it. Basically just got it up and running and tuned it and just try to make it sound as good as I possibly could. So, and I probably over 2 or 3 years, I just slowly did more tuning and few more adjustments here and there on that car.
You heard that car, didn't you?
Yeah, and I think he's underselling himself too, because if I remember right,
that's a ShawnK classic, undersell himself.
You like pulled those amps apart and you took out the crossover circuits and you upgraded like all the audio components and the caps and pretty much completely customized. Did you save those amps or did you sell them? Or
I still have them. I still have them.
Still have them, and those were ZPA, the 0.5 or the 0.3s.
Yeah, 2.3s and 2.5s.
Yeah.
Those are the, I guess, at the pinnacle, I guess you'd say, of Phoenix Gold sound quality amplifiers.
Phenomenal sounding amplifiers, in my opinion.
And they had so much dynamic power and stuff, and they were just, I mean, they were. That I agree with Rob. That system was awesome, and Shawn drove up from South Carolina to North Carolina, picked me up, and then we went to Nashville together. So I got to hear that thing all the way there.
That was a blast. I had a blast that day. It was
fun.
Tiring, but it was fun.
It was good times.
I told him, I said, well, what subs you got in there? He's like, well, I haven't even played the subs yet. I was like, are you serious?
Yes. Yeah. Those scan mid, they were the Alpine F1 status version of the ScanSpeak obviously builds them for them, but man, those 7-inch mid basses were just unreal.
I agree.
So
yeah, they were crazy. So I know we talked a little bit before about you having a career being an installer. Do you have any crazy, wild, weird stories about doing installations over the years and things that have happened?
Jeez, I don't know. Typical stuff. I think many installers will have stories on like finding panties under the rear seat, or it could be panties or maggots. You could run the gamut. Like I've probably seen it all. I've seen firearms. I've seen drugs. I've seen it.
So
Yeah.
did you ever like damage a car, or did you ever have any problems
Oh
like that with your
yeah. Oh
installs?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I've had my fair share of damaged. And when you and everybody does. I don't care who you are as a professional installer. You're gonna have a day where a panel just doesn't come out right, or something, or you walk uh, parallel to a vehicle and you might have a tool that you didn't know was sticking out, or and you scratch the vehicle or something to that effect. I'll tell you what. One of the worst ones that I felt horrible about was this was really pretty early in my career, first or second year installing, and I was doing an amplifier rack on the back of a late model BMW, at the back of the back seat, so like in the trunk on the back seat. And I was doing just a real simple carpeted MDF panel on the back, and I got the whole panel installed. Um, and I get the amplifiers installed. It was all fired up and everything, and the car was done, and it left. And the customer came back, I don't know, sometime later, a week or two later, and and he talked to my store manager first, but he had to show the store manager that when you pulled the armrest down in the back of the back seat, listen, at first he couldn't get it to pull down, and then he pulled hard enough when the panel would finally come down, and there was a couple nice holes right in the nice leather of the armrest, because the screws that I put through for the amp rack were just a little bit too long. And so the customer was a great guy, so that was nice. At least he didn't freak out about it. But we had to buy a brand new armrest for a late model BMW, which was like, I don't know, probably $400-500. So that was one that I was kind of upset with myself about. So, but what do?
Yeah.
You learn, right? You learn from your mistakes.
You live and you learn.
Mm-hmm.
Well, BMW owners that don't freak out, that's one in a few.
Sure. Yeah.
They freak out and they don't use turn signals. That's two things.
or stop at stop signs.
Or stop at stop signs. Yeah. Hashtag BMW fans hate.
Well, at least you copped to it. If that happened to a shop around my area, they'd be like, "No, man, that happened. That was already there."
Yeah, I didn't do that. There's no way that was me.
There was no way for me to say it wasn't me. I was the guy that worked on the car, so yeah, I felt bad.
Yeah. So, in addition to, and how many years about did you do the installs before you?
Oh, I think it was like maybe 11 years. I was a professional installer. Yeah.
Yeah,
right
so
around there.
You got all the tricks that Mark is telling us about now that they never used to tell us unless you bought those real expensive videos.
Man, I tell you, I wish I had videos back then. It would have made my life so much easier.
Oh, man, you didn't have no Fishman VHS tapes?
I did. I know what you're talking about, but no, I didn't have any. I mean, those tapes were like $100 back then.
They were, and not $100 total. They were like $100 a piece. They were crazy.
Right.
I mean, one 20-minute video was $100. I'm like, man, we're underselling ourselves these days with our videos.
And those and the techniques they showed were nothing compared to what you can get for free nowadays, right? I mean, so yeah, it was. As far as fabrication goes, it was just. I really wanted it, and I just did anything and everything to figure it out. I spent an obscene amount of money on my own installs and raw materials, fiberglass and wood or whatever, and just went at it and just picked up tips here and there wherever I could. I'd suck it in and then just go and try it.
So yeah, a few years ago, you moved from Maine down to South Carolina.
Yeah.
And I guess at this time was more, and I think before you moved down, you were doing some amplifier repairs then too.
Mm-hmm.
right? So then when you move down, you've been doing that pretty hot and heavy here for the past, what's it been? 3-4
Six,
years? 6?
60. Yeah, we're here, been here for 6.5 years.
Wow, I
That's
didn't realize
crazy,
it'd been
right?
that long. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing. You know, you and I were talking about amplifiers and stuff, and I think it was maybe one of my Power 500Ms, Punch 500M Power,
Mm-hmm.
whatever they're called, DSM amp had an issue, and you're like, oh yeah, send it to me. I can fix it. So that kind of, I don't know. Back then, it was like you were really in tune with like a few of the models, especially. It seemed like, and you kind of got into that. What got you into the repairing? Was it just the ability to, get some amps and be able to work on them yourself and not have to pay somebody, or was it something that just really interests you, or what
Yeah.
kind of moved you into that?
Well, a few things. One is probably first and foremost is I absolutely love car audio, every single aspect of it, and I want to know as much as I possibly can about every single aspect of it. So one of my goals, my goal when I was younger was to be an installer, and I did that. Some other goals was to learn about, as I get a little bit older, I wanted to learn about the gear itself. I knew I wasn't an engineer, but I wanted to get in as much as I could. So that probably, in addition to continuously getting ripped off on eBay and having a stack of blown amplifiers, um, I picked up Perry Babin's repair tutorial, which is phenomenal. And I just studied that inside and out. And then just started diving in. Since I had this stash of broken amplifiers, it was perfect for me to start with that. It's my own stuff. So if something goes wrong, it's not a big deal. And between jumping in and then having Perry's tutorial as a guide, just kind of started to figure it out, and then I progressed into taking on amplifiers from my friends, and you were one of them. I knew that you weren't gonna freak out on me if I couldn't figure it out or whatever, and and then it just kind of snowballed. It kept going, and I think when it really took off was when you were always on my back about joining social media, Facebook at the time, and then once I finally got into social media, it was just like all systems go at that point.
Yeah, everybody is always looking for a technician to do repairs because, I mean, even now, even though there's so many of them out there, the reliable guys, the ones that that you can trust to send your equipment and get it fixed and get it back, that's still kind of iffy across the board. And I've actually wanted to work on a recommended amplifier technician kind of a list to go through, because obviously Shawn is more of a class AB type repair tech, because that's the older school stuff, and that's the things he likes to work on. And like he says, there's plenty out there to work on, so it's not like he has to do class D. He enjoys doing the class AB, so that's what he does. But there's some guys that specialize in the big, the huge 7,500, 10,000, 15,000 watt class D amps. And there's some guys that do kind of a little bit of all of it. And it would be good, I think, for us as a community to come together and, kind of help put together a list. But I saw one of the guys in one of the Rockford forums talking about the other day about creating a list. And I said, well, my suggestion would be you got to make a list of people that do it full time versus the people that do it, at night or after work or whatever. Because, not saying that those people are not any good at what they do, because I think that some are very good at what they do. It's just that if you know that somebody's full-time gig, that's what they're working on full time, and the other people kind of put it on the side plate and like, yeah, whenever I can get to it kind of thing. That's cool. Nine says, do you remember Team 420?
Yes. Yes. Actually, yes. Bob and Rooney, and they're actually friends of mine. So we lived in the same town.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and Shawn, if I remember right, you were not that far from EXO when he was up there too, right?
yeah, about maybe 20 minutes away. Yeah.
20 minutes. So yeah,
So
it's a small
I
world.
saw him every now and then when there was a local car show. Um, so
Yeah, EXO's a
You
little.
can't hide in South Carolina now. Everyone knows ShawnK. The guy from up north, you mean?
I'm in the middle of nowhere here in South Carolina.
Yeah, we also got George. Let's see. What is your dead honest opinion on people that put speakers outside the car?
Outside the car. I don't know.
Oh,
I
like a
guess I
I
don't
think he's
wall or
follow.
talking.
something?
Yeah, I
Like
think
a
he's talking about the ones that do the stunt walls and the things where they open up the trunk and all the
Oh,
speakers are
sure.
firing out.
Yeah, yeah. Big motorized wall
yeah.
that like flatbed trucks that just I'm game. Like what if it's car audio, I'm game. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
that turns me off when it comes to car audio. You know,
I,
it's not something that I personally am gonna do, right? But man, if anything is car audio and it keeps car audio alive, then I'm all for it.
Yeah. Even if Derek tries to blow out our eardrums at 150 hertz, 58 hertz, something like that, 150 decibel.
yeah, and that
Well,
little Ranger.
That was
I was just
brutal.
gonna say with Blaupunk 12s maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Yes.
told y'all those things are impressive for $20 each. Y'all are
Jeez,
making fun of
man.
them. They'll hit that 60 hertz tone all day long.
You ain't lying about that.
That's fun. But I had some pictures. Unfortunately, they're not very big on the screen, so I'll share them a little bit. But I just wanted to go through a real quick slideshow of one of the amps I had Shawn repair for me a while back. This was a Rockford Power 650, and just to kind of show some of the things he does. So he removed the board. He completely thoroughly cleans the amplifier under in the sink. But I mean, gets it all clean. And didn't you tell me at one time you like put them in the oven or something to let them dry out or something? Or
um, you can. I don't really typically do that. No.
but you can see how much cleaner the board, even though the picture I know is kind of small. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. It's going to kill the resolution, but anyway, it'll give you an idea. Oh, now it won't let me click to the next one. Lovely. Thank you, Windows.
Got him. Got him.
Yeah, it got him. Ah, what a bummer that is. Anyway, let me stop sharing. I'll see if I can get that to come back up, and I'll scroll through because I wanted to show the process of of these repairs, because a lot of people don't take into account everything that goes in to the
Yeah. Well,
repair.
there's a difference between just a repair and a restoration. And
Right,
I
and
think
this will
that's
be
kind of
more
what
of
I
a
specialize. That's
right.
definitely, yeah.
Because the thing I'm going to show you here in a minute is obviously it's hard to see it, but you ran the RCA's like underneath the board, right?
That's actually the supply for your secondary ground.
Okay.
They typically come up over the top in those particular amplifiers. They come up over the top,
Right.
and
And they just kind of get in the way and
yeah,
just.
yep.
But we'll go through it. You can see how clean the board was. But yeah, he just did a complete. Yeah, I was thinking there was different pictures.
That's why
Just cleaned up the wiring.
to fix our amps, because we send them the nightmare ones like the Earthquake 40 UHC, several ones that Derek's in. I know have been nightmare
Yeah,
ones.
Shawn learns really quick which ones he wants to work on versus the ones he don't. I know Earthquake is like a bad word in Shawn's house.
Yeah, well, don't tell Brad that, because I've got like 6 of his surfboards here. They're all great.
Yeah, well, no, maybe you should tell Brad that so he'll know.
It's okay.
But yeah, you can just see all, and again, the cleanliness of what's done here, the way the wires are run. They obviously made custom RCA's. You replace those, whatever they were, like 6 or 8 gauge that were straight copper wire coming out of there that wouldn't bend for anything. Put some 8 gauge wire in there, really nice. But yeah, it's just it's something that us guys that like the older amps, and hate the Molex plug type harnesses that come out, something like this, where it's got you a little terminal strip. Makes it really nice. But yeah, it gives you an idea of the, obviously you've seen the vehicle and you know the level of craftsmanship there, but it just kind of transcends into everything with the amp repairs and everything like that that you do. So it's really cool to see that. And I was trying to see if there was any other pictures I had here. The Earthquake 2300, I think that was one of your favorite ones that you did too.
That was a big one. That was
Yeah,
definitely a big one.
yeah, that one. Again, the pictures are kind of small, so I won't share that. But anyway, so I don't know, Rob. I've been talking a lot, so I'm gonna let you, if you've got any questions to ask.
Oh man, I don't have any good questions, but I want to hear some Shawn King stories. Let's hear something, some crazy install story you have, no matter what frame of time it is. What do you got?
Jeez, I don't know. You put me on the spot.
Or a
Uh,
repair story.
So
even.
while you're thinking of that, I'll scroll through the questions because I'm sure there was a few in here that we missed as people were asking as we were going through here. Let's see here.
I will say that it's thrown me off a little bit because the ShawnK I always know has a white V-neck, some basketball shorts, and some Jordans.
I am a very simple guy.
That's the uniform, man.
I
That's how
own
you know that's Shawn
probably
King right there.
20 of those white T-shirts. That's all I like simple. I don't know what it is.
I 100% considered doing that. Just all the same shirts, all the same pants, all the same shorts. That way I don't have to think about it. Just wake up and I put it on, and
same thing every day.
I can tell you, dude, since like March, since I've been working from home all the time, yeah, I've taken on that mentality. I can see totally why people do that because it is so comfortable to wear those basketball type shorts and the soft T-shirts.
I got them on right now.
Yeah,
I will say that I am very disappointed that neither one of you are wearing your three-piece suits. I'm obviously not as important as Wayne Harris.
Sorry. As anybody who watched the Kicker show last night will probably notice, some of us did not change at all for tonight. And and I'm sure that is not Snoop Dogg's face on there because I'm sure he did not get any royalties for this shirt I got off of Amazon that was printed in some sweatshop up in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Click the link in the description.
That's right. Click the link in the description. You can go buy one yourself and say it's an ugly sweater, but it's a really ugly sweatshirt. But yeah, so I was going to get back. So thinking about the repairs and stuff, right? So you're pretty much doing that full time now since you've got the install done.
Yeah.
And I mean, like a typical amp somebody sends you. I know a lot of people post this stuff online. They'll say, hey, I just got this blah, 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 amp, and flip it over. And I don't see anything wrong with the board. From an amplifier technician's point of view, what would you say to somebody like that? I mean, is it something that you can just kind of look at like a tire that's flat and say, oh, it's probably got a nail in it? Or is it, something where you really have to put the scope on it? You have to do advanced diagnostics, things like that to know what's wrong. Like if my protection light comes on, stuff like that. What would you tell people that ask those type of questions?
Most of the time it would be if they are proficient at doing just a simple amp installation. They've done it in the past. They know how to install an amplifier. We can kind of get past that. Then more than likely, it will probably have to be sent in for a repair. You really just need to give it to a tech and let him or her do the job. Let them fix it up. Because honestly, like even just by a visual inspection of an amplifier, if you pull the bottom cover off and you're looking on the inside, there's plenty of times where there aren't any burn marks or any indication that there's something wrong just from a visual inspection. But you certainly could have shorted transistors or capacitors that are leaking that you don't even know about. Or if you're not familiar with that problem, then you might not notice some fluid on the board or something like that. I mean, you can't. It's almost impossible to tell. And even the descriptions that some of the people give you, no clue. Like, just give it to me. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I understand. And I know that you obviously get your hands sometimes on amps where people try to do
Sure.
repairs, and
Sure.
I'm sure you guys are thinking, just like people that work on cars, that have hack jobs come in. It's like, please send it to somebody who knows what they're doing,
Mhm.
so you don't have to try to correct somebody else's,
Yeah.
bad solder job.
Yeah.
I couldn't point to myself, Rob. Sorry, but yeah, and I saw some interesting questions that came up too. Like, do you have a particular amp that you like the design more than any? Yeah, it can be old or new. Is there any thought that's gone into that? I know that you've told me before that you like some of the old Rockfords, obviously, but is there any
I mean,
particular?
I mean, I like Rockford mostly because that's what I grew up with. That was the first like high end company, outside of the flea market stuff or the wholesale magazines. So that's why I personally particularly like Rockford. And the amplifiers are good. They're reliable. They're strong. But as far as amplifiers, or an amplifier brand that, I mean, yeah, like, geez, just off the top of my head, like anything that Zed, Steve Mance designed amplifiers are obviously, he was probably ahead of his, I don't know, ahead of his time, maybe. I don't know, but he's extremely smart when it comes to amplifier design, going way, way back. I've always liked his stuff. I mean, there's obviously you could look at some of the ultra high end stuff, like the Audison. I think you have a Venti at your place right now, right? Sorry, but that's a particular amplifier where obviously a ton of time and effort, where engineers could just go in and just do whatever they want, and they're gonna make it the best they can make it. Like, something like that is obviously, the pinnacle of amplifier design. So you have to give credit to that. So
This
Yeah,
amp
they
in particular right here, the ZESX, I done a video on it a while back. And anytime I don't know something, I don't understand how something works, I got to call, I get on Messenger or text Shawn, like, hey, what do you know about this? Well, call me. So I call him and he explains it to me. Then I can explain it to the people.
anytime.
Yeah, but this one particular, what was it? They flipped the transistors for the bridging.
Yeah, the old SX amps.
Yeah.
Like, I do not. Mance must have been smoking something when he designed that amplifier. It is one of those amps where it was ahead of its time, but I cannot imagine what it took to design that amp and do the layout on it, because the way that they work, when you're looking at the multi-channels, 2-channel or 4-channel, you can, whether it's a 2-channel or even a 4-channel, you can actually combine all 4 of those channels down into a single channel. And the way that he does that inside those particular amplifiers is via relays all throughout the amplifier. I mean, a 4-channel EXX amplifier has, like, I don't know, 8, 9, or 10 relays on the inside of it. And he'll, through those relays, he will connect pairs of transistors of one channel into pairs of transistors of another channel, which combines them. At the same time, he has to combine the signals. So he will have smaller relays diverting the signal so that it goes to the new channel that was just created. So just from a technician's perspective, an absolute nightmare to try and diagnose. Absolute nightmare. And that's probably one particular amplifier old school amplifier that I won't work on. It's too time consuming.
Yeah.
Too much.
So what's the general reliability of something like that with all those different components and switching? Is that something that you?
I don't. I've only seen a couple. I spent some time working on one. I spent so much time on it. I was like, it was one. I have maybe 10 amplifier, if that, that I didn't finish for one reason or another. That's probably even on the high side. It's maybe 5 or 6. And that was one amplifier where it's like, I spent some time on it, set it aside, and then it's my own amplifier. I came back to it months later, spent more time on it, had to set it aside again. It's too much. It's so compact. It's just, everything is just crammed inside there. And that's why I say, like, when he designed it, like the layout of it, just like, it must have taken forever.
Even when I looked up the manual, how they're telling you to bridge it, it's so convoluted. I wasn't sure. That's what made me call you in the first place. I was like,
yes,
what the heck am I doing here?
Yes, craziness. Absolute.
See, we can all feel like big dummies on occasion.
Yeah, I do quite often.
So Mark asked, any problem getting quality components these days for repairs? I mean, that's a valid question, I would think.
Yeah, definitely a valid question. It's hard for me to say right now because I've had the car for like 5 months. So my amp repairs have been pushed aside. Now I have a stockpile of components. I usually carry $4,000 or $5,000 worth of components here. And I like, every time I get done with a repair, or I should say anytime I order components, I've always ordered more than I ever needed. So over years of doing this, I've really gained a pretty good stock of just raw components. I can't stand it when I have to order something to finish a repair. It drives me nuts. I want to go grab the parts. I want to get it done. So I've tried to build up my inventory of those raw components. So I don't know, maybe I'll find out soon enough. Hopefully they'll be stocked when I need it.
Yeah, hope so. El Fuego, shout out for the community. Thank you for your generous donation. And gosh, I know, guys, there's a bunch of you asking some really cool questions in here. So what we're gonna do is we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. Obviously, we're actually getting close to the top of the hour here, but we'll go through some of these, once we get to the end, and we'll spend some time kind of in the after show. So those of you who are listening to this in a podcast format, you may not get to hear that after show that much. So you might want to check out the YouTube channel, and you can get some extra footage and get some extra behind the scenes additions to these 12 volt talk shows. But yeah, there's obviously a lot of people are, a common theme I'm seeing in the questions here is, we need more reliable old school technicians. Obviously people that follow me and Rob for the most part seem to be guys that have been around for a while, and they like the old amps just like us. And Rob has a love-hate relationship with old amps. He loves to look at them, but he hates to put them in his car because they never work right. Is that right, Rob?
Something like that.
Something like that. So Rob has pretty much given up on the old school amps for the most part, and he uses stuff that works, right?
Hey, don't embarrass me in front of my friends.
Well, I'm just telling the truth, man. There is no lies being told here. This is all truths. So, I mean, it's a valid point, and obviously I had a Punch 200 DSM in my Honda Accord for 8 or 9 years, running bridged, running 2 ohms or 3 ohms mono, depending on which speaker was in there. Thing's freaking rock solid. Never had an issue with it. And I just pulled it out recently to put in the little Sundown SFB 1000, which is barely louder, which is a lot more powerful. And Shawn, you and I talked about this before, and I want you to try to help me understand and try to help explain this Class D versus Class AB, this power difference thing that you and I have talked about before, and something we've discussed about is 1,000 watts of Class D. Does it sound like 1,000 watts of Class AB on a sub? What's your thoughts on that?
Put me on the spot, right? I was hoping to stay away from this whole discussion.
Well, you can plead
So,
the fifth if you don't want to talk about it, because it don't
um,
matter. But I thought it was a very interesting discussion. It's one thing that I would love to do a physical test of it. I mean, it may just only be sonically that we can hear the difference, and it may not be a true loudness difference between them. But a lot of the things that influence us in audio is how we feel that day, or how much we like the look of the amp. I mean, that can make it sound better, in my opinion. Is, oh, this looks nice, it must sound good. It's a lot of psychoacoustics involved. But I thought that when we had this discussion many years ago, and we didn't talk about this before the show, so I didn't know you didn't want to talk about it.
no,
But
no, I
I
will.
just
It's fine.
I just like to hear that a little bit, because I think people might find this interesting, and I think we all need to test this out, this theory that you have.
So, I mean, personally, I prefer a Class AB amplifier. From an engineering standpoint, uh, it just makes more sense, right? You're in a Class D, you're chopping up the signal, and then you're filtering it to make it a signal, what it's supposed to be, amplified, of course. But now that's not to say that Class D can't sound good or what have you. But something to think about is like if you're comparing your Punch 200 versus what would you say, 1,000-watt monoblock?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So that Sundown Class D 1,000-watt monoblock will probably do right around 1,000 watts, right? It's probably not way underrated.
It's kind of underrated. It did
Is
like
it
1,500 watts at 1 ohm. So
at one? Okay.
at about 3 ohms, which is what the JL10W3 that I'm using right now, I estimate
Yeah.
it does somewhere around 700 to 800 watts
Okay.
to that sub, whereas the Punch 200 was probably around 400 to 500 ish.
Okay. So the actual difference in output in decibels between 500 watts and 700 watts is nothing, right? It's probably not even discernible. So as far as just raw output goes, now the sound is something that I believe I can hear the difference most of the time. Even comparing Class D to Class D, right? So back when in my install days, that was one nice thing about being an installer and dealing with this gear day in and day out. I mean, I can't even tell you how many JL 500 ones I installed, like just tons and tons and tons of them. So when I would install something outside of a JL 501, say like I don't know, I'm not even gonna say the brand name, but I'll install another brand name Class D monoblock that was actually rated for twice the power of the JL 501. It didn't sound as good, and for whatever reason. So I don't know what I'm trying to prove in this, but I guess from dealing with the gear for so long, over and over and over and over and over again, I can tell you, like I can hear a difference. Like I don't claim to have golden ears or anything like that, but just from the experience of it. And then when you compare the AB to the D, obviously you can have a junk Class AB amp, or you can have a junk Class D amp. That can happen. But overall, I've never been disappointed in a Class AB amp. Never, never. As long as it's a fairly decent quality amplifier. But I've been disappointed with some Class D amps, and that's brand name, expensive gear. So that's about all I can say, really.
I think it's interesting for anybody out there who'd be willing to kind of, just do a test. If you take 1,000 watt, whatever the number is,
Are
but
you going to do your own Richard Clark test?
me,
It's going to be like the big D test, the
if I
big
do
D
it,
challenge.
you know, that it's going to be my test. It's not going to be
I think
any.
we all know by now the Clark test was fixed, right? That's fine. That's a fixed test. The
And
guy says that he can make adjustments to the amplifiers before you even get into the room.
So what did he adjust? I thought it was just to make the levels of everything like exactly the same and all that.
Yeah, well, no, his point was that he could personally make this amplifier sound like this amplifier. So what does that mean? That means a level adjustment. That means equalization. So I guess maybe he was trying to prove that just the amplifier itself doesn't matter so much, because ultimately you can adjust it to sound one way or another. And you know, maybe he's right, but and not only that, but like he, if I can remember correctly, because this is quite a while ago that he came out with this test, like there was fixed parameters for everything, like certain music you could listen to at certain volumes. And I mean, the guy put up, I don't know, what was it, like $100,000 or something of his own money?
I think at one point it got up to $1 million, right?
Okay. So obviously he's not going to lose that test, that test, right? He's got to make sure he wins no matter what.
we definitely need to try to get him on, Derek. I haven't thought about Rick in a while, man.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
To get him to explain that. But I didn't even realize that. I thought it was that they had to be game matched and to be exactly the same level as like a reference set. I didn't realize that that there was any funkiness going on. I thought it was straight amplifier versus amplifier with the same exact decibel measurement at the listening level. And if it's not that, then I would agree that, you know, it'll be easy to manipulate it. But if it's true, just test amp A versus B versus C. How can you not
we got to set it up, man. We got to set it up.
We got to set it up.
I know
we're going to have to do that. You won't pass?
No.
I think you will.
I can tell when I repair amplifiers when I'm done, I can tell the difference, from different amplifiers, certain sonic signatures between brand X and brand Y, whatever.
I'll tell you, when I live tested that Audio Vox the other day, you guys probably didn't hear it on stream, but that 1 kilohertz track was whining. I mean, it was loud, man.
Yeah, that's the neat thing about testing amplifiers with, with a battery bank or caps or whatever, where you can charge them and then do the test, because when you have power supplies running, you have a lot of noise. You don't get to hear what the amp does. But when you have silence, like I remember the first Korean amp I tested with silence, and you're like, wow, that thing is making a weird buzzing sound. And it gets right to the point of, hey, that's enough. Turn me down. But yeah, they all have some interesting sounds that they make. So that's always fun to be able to hear it. Well, man, we have, we've already kind of gone over the hour already. This flew by.
Yeah, it's fast.
We didn't.
Well,
really
at the end, we weren't
scratch.
even doing a podcast. This is just how it is when we're hanging out at the spring meet, talking about nonsense.
Yeah, this is the fun stuff. Is just talking, theories and how everybody thinks, because we don't care if there's no scientific proof behind everything we talk about. We're not being fact checked for this.
Yeah,
I was going to say something else.
We are on Facebook, so possibly.
That's true. I said the F word, which is fact, so I'm probably going to get pulled down. But yeah, thank you, Bass Junkie. Appreciate that. We again, I saw a ton of good questions come in, and we'll try to go through some of those. But in respect to the 1 hour we try to keep the actual podcast, we will we'll go ahead and get ready to end it. So Shawn, for right now, I know that you probably have enough going on that you might not want to, say that you're taking in amplifiers or you're doing big installs like this. But I would say, if, somebody has big, deep pockets and they want a crazy fancy install and can lose their car for several months, hey, give the guy a shout. He may be willing to work on it.
Just tell him no, Shawn. Just tell him no now.
No, I mean,
Transform my
I would just say though, just expect to come with a wheelbarrow full of cash because this ain't no, cheap install that we saw earlier. So just be prepared. But yeah, I mean, as far as the amp repairs and stuff go, I mean, I know you're pretty much always loaded down. You're
Always,
always
always,
busy.
always. Yeah.
Obviously, if you ever get to the point where you need us to push you a little bit, I'm sorry for the P there, but if you need us to help get you some business, let us know because we can share you out there and get you some work. So I know that
Very
you're
cool.
pretty good right now, but a lot of people want somebody like you who's a good technician. I know we also talk about Jason Gibson,
Yep.
who's at Freeman's in is it Cornelius? I think now Cornelius, North Carolina. He's a good one to go to for the old Rockford stuff and some of the older amps, and he can do pretty much anything too. But he's another good reliable source, and we'll work on getting a list so people understand who they can go to. But Shawn, we appreciate your time, man, and
Thank you.
you can check Shawn's stuff out if you go on Facebook. Obviously, there's plenty of pictures there of the cars he's done. I'm working on the video now of the Legends of Car Audio's Brad's Civic Type R that Shawn just did that we showed pictures of earlier for those who were watching this and not listening to it. I'm sorry if you were listening to it. I just thought about that may not have been the best segments for the audio crowd. But anyway, it's something you truly have to see, and I will work on getting a video for that to kind of showcase it a little more. So Rob, did you have any final words to say?
Well, I don't want to pimp anything because
Yes, you
I'm
do.
streaming every day, but I want to show something. So
He's,
you guys know this amp was my first real amp, and my dude Shawn found one, painted the end caps, and sent it to me. So this amp stays with me, but my son just got a car, and I figured what better first amp to have than the first real amp I had in the same color. So it's
Perfect.
going down to the
that's
second
cool.
generation of Vegas.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Maybe he could blow
That's
up those
cool.
Rockfield K9s with it.
I doubt it. Those videos are fake news. All right, guys. Well, yeah, those of you who are here checking us out, we appreciate you being here as always and engaging with us through our rambling sometimes, or my rambling. We do appreciate the community here, and check us out, 12volttalk.com, 12vtalk.com. It all goes to the same place. It goes to our YouTube channel, or if you go to Spotify, Google, I don't even know what they call it now. They don't call it podcast. They call it something else. Do you know,
And
Rob, what it's called?
I,
Google something.
I
Google
hope we're on
Music,
there.
maybe. We may not
I,
even be on there
we
because
might not be on
we
there
might have
'cause I'm
missed hitting that
slacking
button we
bad.
were supposed to. But we were
Yeah.
definitely on Spotify.
Yeah.
Spotify's free and Joe Rogan's there, so I'm sure most of you probably are on Spotify for some reason or not. But anyway, check us out, and we will be back next week right before Christmas. So that'll be the 23rd.
Good times.
Yep. We'll see y'all then. Thanks again, Shawn, Rob.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. But for those listening, we will talk to y'all later. We out.
Later.
Peace.
Bye.
Out of here.
Oh, the classic.
Classic. All right, let's scroll back through. There's a lot. I saw a bunch of questions here. I'm going to scroll up. We can't always scroll all the way back up, at least through the tool here. Oh yeah, this this is funny. Can he make
I went over you. Go
Justin.
ahead.
That's all right. No, you can pull that one back up. Go ahead and do it.
All right.
Justin. Thank you, Justin.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate that. Can he make my Alfina amp banging?
Alfina.
Have
That's
you
interesting.
seen? Oh man, I haven't showed that one off yet. I didn't know, Jesse. I didn't know you had one, but I've got one too. That is definitely for a future, what I call Flea Market Friday segment. The Alfina may be the worst.
Does it look like an Alpine?
It looks on the outside. It tries to look like it with the logo and everything.
Does it?
But dude, the inside is like the worst ever. So that'll be one coming up. But yeah, I don't know if he can make that banging unless he swaps it out. Let's see here. Earthquake, 40 UHCG. And now
Is that
one of the ones that is so hateful?
I'm fine with the earthquakes. I don't know. I mean,
oh, okay. So it's the ESX amps that you're hate. I thought it was earthquake.
The ESX amps are brutal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But earthquakes are okay.
They're okay.
What was the big amp you fixed for you?
The Colossus.
Was that what it was?
Yeah. The Colossus Series 6. Remember the one that you
painted Series blue? 6. That's right.
Yeah, it's got the 2 boards inside and all that. Yeah. I don't think I ever really showed that one off that much on YouTube. But I should. It looks really awesome. You did the acrylic panel on the bottom, and all the wiring on the inside is really nice.
Yeah.
But that's the one we couldn't get. That's the one that's not bridgeable or something. Remember that? I told you I tried to hook it up bridging, and it was like sparking. You said, well, it's the 2 boards
they're already bridged.
They're already bridged, so you can't bridge that amp. And that's so weird, because that amp, even back then, was rated as being bridgeable. So that must have been one of the earliest versions of that Colossus. And I meant to ask, I have to ask Steve Mance if that's the case. But yeah, that amp's strong. It's, I mean, for its time, 300 and some watts per channel. I mean, that was a lot of power back then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Do you guys still get on the forum? Shawn, do you ever get on the DIY mobile forum?
I really don't. I really don't. It's too bad, because I really enjoyed the forum. You know, like DIY mobile.
I never went on any forum ever.
What?
I've never been on any of the forums.
Well, you said you were out of car audio for a little while, right?
From about
so you missed
about 2012.
You missed like the whole forum stage.
He missed the forum. You didn't miss that much. I mean,
I was on Web TV car audio chat though. You remember Web TV?
I do. I had a Web TV and I had a wireless keyboard, and I thought I was so cool.
I had it too. The Microsoft wireless keyboard, and Web TV car audio. I think it was Big Rob 1981. If anybody was on there.
Big Rob.
Back then, the only thing I was thinking about is, why can't they have an online word processor? Because I was like, I've got everything else I need here, but I can't do my school papers, because I was in college at the time, and I couldn't do them because there was no such thing as Google Docs or Microsoft 365, whatever, any of that stuff. But let's see, what does Shawn think about the old school Lanzar 2500?
Sure.
So these are the ones these are the ones that Chad likes, right?
I've done just countless for Chad.
Yeah,
countless.
Some of his favorite, I think, are the Lanzar, and he also likes the Z amps too.
He does. Yeah. Yep, they're great.
I mean, he was playing those amps on like $15,000 speakers or whatever it was he had.
I'm sure I know the answer to this. Out of all the repairs you've done, have you ever received payment with another broken amp?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that it's worth it. Obviously, if you can get something in that's worth money, and you can fix it for just your time and very little bit of component parts, it would be absolutely worth it to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you thought about well, I guess you don't have to worry about it now, but I guess if it ever got to the point you could like fix amps and then resell them on a website or something.
Well, sure. And I have stacks of amplifiers that I've either taken in on trade or
we need to get purchased. Some pictures, Shawn, of the amps, and I need to make the one of the guy with the money holding up by his ear. You just can have a bunch of amps stacked up by both ears. That would be fun. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. No, but I mean, I do. So someday, I'll have to get to them. Who knows when that will be?
Retirement plan.
Yeah, kind of.
Shawn, you're awesome at what you do, and we got some fans here in the audience.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is a good question. We don't like to divulge this information, Mark. I know who MSH68 is. That's Mark, and he asked, "Are there any amps out there that you've seen new or old that we are sleeping on that nobody knows about?"
Top Strong Gear.
Top Strong Gears. Rob, just because I signed off of your podcast last night, don't think that I didn't hear you. Oh, dude, Derek finds all this stuff. Top Strong Gear. Who's heard of that?
I saw that.
Hey, you
I'm
do, man.
always listening, dude.
Did I lie? I did not lie.
Listen, when you got people sending you messages at all times and people making comments on videos, dude, you can find freaking needles in haystacks. And I put the guy's name at the end of the last video because I forgot the previous two. But one of the guys online, his first name is Mo. I don't know if it's his real name, but Mo.
Yeah.
He told me about it. He said, "Oh, check out this Top Strong gear, man. This thing's like $89." And it was when I got it. It's $89 for that amp that did, I don't even remember, 1,200 watts or something. That's crazy.
Are they just on Amazon? Like, oh, snap! A new amp popped up.
I think I figured it out how they did it. If you go to Amazon, and this is the thing that drives me crazy. Amazon is obviously one of the richest companies in the world ever, along with Apple. But when you go to Amazon, and y'all tell me if it's just me, their organization of the page and the navigation, is it not the freaking worst?
Yeah,
it is.
Have you thought about it? I mean, on a lot of
Absolutely.
sites, even on eBay, right? You go to eBay. If you want to look at amps, you can actually go to a category and click on amps. You can click on 2-channel, whatever. They have something similar on Amazon, but when you're on the page of an amp, you can't click from there to resort. It's like, it drives me crazy.
You know
but
what
I
it
did
is?
find
They don't want you to see what you want to see. They want you to see what they want you to
I
see.
think you're right. You can type in you can type in exactly what you want, and you have to scroll down halfway through the page until they actually show you exactly
right, because
what
they
you
have
type.
ads at the top that people pay big money for until they get to what you're searching for. That's true. But what I was going to get at is I found a checkbox that said new arrivals, so under amplifiers, and I did find some that were new, and I think that's what those guys may have done to find those. So I just shared the.
So I have an answer to that question.
Okay, go ahead.
At least one that just kind of popped in the top of my head, because I actually just purchased a few of these amplifiers myself for my wife's next build coming up this summer, and
I just muted him.
Yeah.
Shawn, you got to tell me before we let it go. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay, it's not that amazing. So, but in my opinion, a good deal out there for a good a well-built sound quality-ish type of amplifier. If you remember, Arc Audio came out with the Foos Design amps a while back.
Oh yeah.
So there's still a stockpile of the 2100s out there. So I think they're 2x100 Arc Audio. So Zeph made amplifier, and in my opinion, I think they look fantastic. I love the look of them, and they're like $130.
Oh wow.
So normally like $450, something like that.
Yeah.
And there's like Woofers, etc. I believe it's Woofers, etc. has like a bunch of them. I just bought 3 of them for my, that's what I'm going to put in my wife's car coming up.
Oh, cool.
So
did we talk about those a while back? I think you told me, and I never done one.
Maybe
I don't remember him telling me, because I would have bought one already and made a video about it. So we could have sold the rest of them out.
Yep.
I always like to, like Mark mentioned here, I always like to find those, and in a lot of cases they're not really needles, because we know, and there's certain brands right now that I'm kind of. There's certain different models that I don't have yet that I want to get before I unleash the knowledge about, hey, these are cool, this is why. And then at that point they get difficult to find, because then people say, oh wow, this is really cool, I want to find it. So it's not that I'm trying to hide information, but also I want to be able to show you guys different
a relevant product.
Yeah, relevant product, and I want to be able to get it. So when I get it, I'll share more. But
yeah.
Those type things are there.
You've made the used amp market 3 or 4 times fold since 20. When was your first video? 2011.
Yeah, something like that. 2010, 2011. I actually went through one day and killed maybe 5 or 6 of my first videos. Yeah, I did. I got rid of them. They were so bad.
So 2010 was your first video?
I think 2000. Yeah, right now, if you go on my channel, 2010 is my first.
I was trying to remember the first video that I watched of yours. That
Punch 150 and Punch 45, the first gens, I think, was the first video. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one where I'm talking like this. People are like, what's wrong? You constipated? I don't know, man. I was just trying to sound like I was big and bad. I don't know why I did that. So what's the worst repair, as in big time fried board, have you had to repair? Like the Hyphonics Big D caught on fire. What you talking about? I ain't burned no Hyphonics. No, I know what he's
That
talking
was a
about. I
Sonito
did.
mask,
That one.
and it's in vinyl.
The Sonito mask. Oh, and while you're thinking, Shawn, the story of the Sonito mask, just anybody wants to know, and this is relevant to our conversation here, but so this is back when I first got my amp dyno and I was doing tests and whatever, and this company sent me an amp and I tested and I sent them the results and I'm like, look, man, this thing actually did pretty well. The guy's like, run it at half an ohm, run it at half an ohm. I said, like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, run it at half an ohm, run it at half an ohm. So I set my cameras up. What do you think happened at half an ohm? Boom! And then so I came back, I'm like, the amp blew up. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, dude, but that's actually going to be in the video.
Oh, no.
So anyway, sorry, go ahead. So the worst big time repair you've had to do.
Geez, I don't know if there's one particular one that sticks out, but there have been plenty of amplifiers where, I mean, there's just a chunk missing, or the board itself had become so carbonized from flames, essentially, that I've had to cut it out and fill it in, and either do jumpers or something like that. I mean, there's been a whole bunch of old school, like the Rockford DSMs. I think, mostly it's not, I've worked on a ton of Rockford, ton of it. But I think it's just because they sold how many millions? I don't know. I mean, there's so many out there. And they were really abused, right? Like people just beat on those amps. So there's been many, many Rockfords where the boards were in pretty rough shape, and you can get them going again. Sometimes you can't make it look like it's a factory board. Of course, you're gonna have to do some jumpers and stuff like that, but you can certainly make a reliable amplifier if you put the effort into it.
But you've also got the correct potion for refinishing the DSM amps, right? Because we talked about this a while back too. So you've got the correct
$6.
$6.
Yeah, it's just the Rust-Oleum texture. You used to be able to get at Walmart. My Walmart doesn't carry it anymore, so I have to go across down to Home Depot, but they still have it, and it's
the textured black.
It's almost perfect. It's really
it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I've used it to touch up some of mine too. That actually looks really good.
Yeah.
Have you seen the guys that are redoing the emblems for those? There's a couple guys on Facebook that are.
Yep. They look nice.
They look pretty good. They're pretty pretty good.
Are you talking about the ones that they're casting and then?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, didn't they get busted for that, or Rockford?
No. From what I remember, the discussion is they got permission from Rockford to redo them, but not to like have them on a site selling them or not putting them on eBay. So as long as the volume is low, but I mean, it's
a 30-year-old amplifier.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's like Ford saying, "Oh, nope, sorry, that 1988 Mustang, nope, can't make that fender."
It's like somebody started making these. These are like gold.
Yes, they are gold. Those and the other kind, all of those end cap, and then the joining, the center.
The links.
The link. Yes.
Dude, those things were like, you could get those for $10 back in the day at the shop, and now $200 if you're lucky.
Yep. I do have one question for Shawn. So the last meet, you were there the night when Bill Stillwell was there, right? Me, JDR, Bill Stillwell.
Where exactly?
At the spring meet at Derek's house.
At the house?
Yeah. Did you hear him snoring? Did you hear him snoring that night? That's the question.
I was in the other room. Remember?
Yeah, we kicked him out.
Did you really?
Yeah, we go sleep in the other room.
Okay, so I'm gonna put Big D on the spot. So we talked about earlier.
I know where this is going.
Yeah, he probably knows. So earlier in the podcast, we were talking about the trip to Kentucky. Right? It's fantastic. I had a great time. It was awesome. So I drove, as Derek said, I drove all the way up to his house, It's about 4 hours to get up to your house from here. Picked him up, and then from there we planned to go all the way to where was it exactly?
Nashville. It was
Nashville.
about 8 hours from here.
Oh, so it's Nashville, Tennessee.
Yep.
Nashville, Tennessee. That's
yes.
it. I'm getting it confused with something else. So Nashville, Tennessee. So I picked Derek up after obviously getting up really early in the morning to go up to his place first, which is kind of northeast of where I am, and then we had to go way west to get to Nashville. And it was fine. It was a great trip. Had a good time. So it's bedtime, and Mr. Derek forewarns me about his snoring. So I'm ultra tired from a long trip, and D can snore like the best of them.
Yes, I can.
Sorry, D.
No, I remember actually trying to consciously not do it that night. But yeah,
you were sleeping like a baby.
I've had the adenoids removed and all that stuff, and it didn't help.
That's why me and Derek are good roommates, because we both snore like crazy. But Bill is not even. We're nothing compared to Bill.
He wakes up the neighborhood. Yeah,
no kidding. Wow.
Yeah, because me and Derek slept in the little game room area, and then we're like, "No, Bill, you go in the room, bro."
Wow.
We had the windows down, driving up on I-40 in the Suburban, and Bill was snoring so loud that we could hear it with the window down on the interstate.
That's funny. That's loud.
It's so bad. JDR said, "Bill, I will never travel with you again where I have to sleep in the same area as you."
Wow.
This is a good point Jesse brings up. How much we pay for an amp often determines how we think it sounds.
Could be.
I think psychoacoustics is so much to do with it, and that's why I'm excited that we're going to eventually get on a previous sound quality judge from I think he is from Mecca. He'll tell us, but anyway, we'll get him on. And I want to talk about that. I want to put him on the spot. I
can say personally that I have, between my installation career and dealing with a lot of gear over the years, and now repairing amplifiers, tons of amplifiers. I don't care how much it costs anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen enough equipment where I don't care if it's $100 amplifier or $1,000 amplifier. If it sounds good, it sounds good. If it performs well, then it performs well. Like, nothing, like names, nothing will affect my personal opinion.
Yeah, and I know Derek's like that same way. I'm the same way too. Like, a lot of people try to justify their purchases because they spent so much money. But like me and Derek and you, it's like, man, I wasted my money on this piece of crap.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's why I enjoy doing the things that we do and we're able to do with the YouTube stuff, because we are able to make some income from it. So then we can use that to help buy stuff to be able to try out. And no, of course, we're not able to spend months, torture testing each thing we buy. So there is that. But just the fact that we can try things out and show off, I think that's neat.
Absolutely.
Let's see here.
Well, I did spend months with a K9, and you told me that you thought they were a mini W6.
Those get a bad rap, but I'm telling you, man,
they sound good. I
know good. Seth is here in the chat, or he was earlier because he asked a question. He's the one that got the 15-inch from me that was in one of those Q-bomb style boxes.
Oh, didn't he blow it apart?
He sold it to a dude and put it in a Corvette, and that sub thumped so hard it actually blew you say blow the box apart. It didn't like explode, but it separated the box where they had to re-glue it back together.
Wow.
But that's the same one that I had out here, and I was playing with my daughter when we had the birthday party going on. And I'm telling you, man, it was rattling the windows on the house. It was thumping with a Sony 6-channel amp, bridge to 1.0 mono going to that thing. So it was only getting, I don't know, a couple hundred watts, 300 maybe. It was bumping. I'm like, that sub is... So I told Rob, I thought that they get a bad rap because in some ways they kind of deserve it for how they you know,
The live
what they
stream,
did
the
with all that stuff that went
after,
on.
yeah.
But
That's
still,
why they won't come on the show anymore.
Yeah, the
I wanted
speakers
Rock Sam
themselves.
and Mike on, but
Yeah,
after the Heinekens and all that, it wasn't a good look.
yeah, it was definitely, that was a fail. But I mean, and some
Did
people,
you?
I understand people not wanting to purchase because of, you know, all that stuff too, and what they said about EXO, which was wrong. But what were you gonna say, Shawn?
Oh, I was just gonna ask you if you went back in the video to see the audio precision that was in the background.
Yeah.
Remember me telling you?
Yep.
So that's pretty impressive.
Yep, they've got it there. Your favorite Fosgate sub of all time?
Probably I have. Okay, so probably I guess it's considered the second gen Power series. So the first one, the first Power series, in I think it was maybe '93, that had the foam surround and the chrome magnet cast basket. And then the second gen took elements from the first gen and the third gen, and not as many people know about. I don't think they know as many people know about the second gen, but they are. So they took the motor of the first generation, the chrome motor, with the 4-inch voice coil, and then they took the 4-spoke basket, they powder coated it a hammered finish, and then they have the newer style cone with the rubber surround, and then the newer style dust cap with the 3D logo. Well, they only produced that for like a half a year, or half a year release. So when you look in the Rockford pamphlets from back in the day, they actually came out with a pamphlet that was 1996.5 exactly, and that's when where you could see that product. And then in 1997, they had the third generation subs, which I think they made many more of those. Still fantastic subwoofer, but I have currently 8 of those second gen subwoofers that I have plans for.
They had the first gen had the old logo, and then the second gen had the I remember them.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I had some not too long ago.
Yep.
Look who showed up.
Yeah, see that. So I did a sleep study a while back, and I always had the theory that everybody who does a sleep study needs one of those CPAP machines.
Yeah.
Dude, they told me that I slept fine. I didn't need one. My wife's like, "What?" She tells me I hold my breath at night and everything. So
probably pinching your nose.
It's probably like, "Shut up, boy." Let's see. Did we miss anything else? I was scrolling through here. Let's see. Oop. Did I miss it? Oh, there he is. It's still in there now with the box repaired and JBL. Yeah, Seth and gosh, I'm drawing a blank of the other. I can see his face right now. But Seth and gosh, I can't remember his name right now. But anyway, those two guys are local, and Seth is
Paul.
big on the JBL BPs, the BP 1200s. He got me onto those a while back, and he still uses them. I think those are killer amps. Have you ever repaired one of those BP 1200s, Shawn?
I have. Yeah, they're nice.
They're beefy. I mean,
I have the little baby 300 here. I have one of those here.
Yeah, it's like
Steven.
like a
Sorry, Steven
Lego
was the other one
on top.
Yep.
Yep. HX2 was his favorite, somebody said. Yeah, the HX2s were pretty cool subs.
I like just the punch DVCs. Those were my favorite.
I like those a lot too.
98.
Absolutely.
Nick, it wasn't a Q-bomb. It was even worse than a Q-bomb. I just brought that name up. It was whatever when you go on eBay and search for an SPL box.
Did you type in SPL box?
It had a double baffle front on it, and obviously they did not seal it very well because the box blew apart. But I'm telling you, that 15-inch K9 thumps. The 12-inch K9 thumps. The 10-inch K9 that I have that I put in the Sequoia by itself, it thumps. So anyway, y'all be hating. Snoring still well.
He must have tagged his old butt. Got him in
Yeah, probably did. All right, guys. Well, that was a fun discussion. Some of us have to get up and go make a little bread tomorrow. So thanks, Shawn, for your time tonight,
Yeah,
talking
thanks. That was
about
fun.
your installs and your amp repairs and all that stuff. And maybe we'll have you on here again sometime. We can
Sure.
go deeper into discussions.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it was awesome. Shawn's my
Yeah, man.
most favorite guest that I've ever wanted to get on here. The one I was actually most pumped about. I'm not
Yeah,
even.
Thanks.
And Shawn and I talked about it before, but he actually came up here before to drop off some stuff for me, and we were going to do the show live, but I had a migraine that day, so I didn't feel good, and that's one of the days we didn't do the show. It's kind of a bummer. It's I don't have the best studio environment here to have two people. We could have done it, but anyway, we glad it worked out, and I'm glad it got on here, and I can't wait to get all the stuff for the Civic and finish that video, because I think that is going to be pretty epic. It'll be like a virtual SEMA reveal.
Sweet.
All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Have
Appreciate
a good
it.
night. We'll see you.
It's good talking to you guys.
All right, you too. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.